Hey, everybody. My first guest tonight is the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I put on a tie. Please welcome Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Madam Speaker, thank you so much for being here.
I would say my pleasure, but not under the circumstances.
Exactly, and I actually misspoke. You're not here, you're there. Thank you for being there. Though, you're at the House right now, the House of Representatives?
Well, I'm in the Senate building. That's where your cameras are, but I am at the Capitol of the United States, yes.
Okay. I know you're the Speaker of the House, but shouldn't you be Speaker of the Home right now? Why are you still in Washington? Why aren't you hunkered down?
Well, we are really working constantly to prepare for our next bill, but also to make sure the legislation that was passed and signed by the President on Friday is fully implemented to meet the needs of America's working families. We just have a full agenda.
Speaker, you represent the San Francisco Bay Area. How's your district doing right now?
Well, thanks to our mayor, Mayor London Breed. She's demonstrated tremendous leadership, and our great governor, Gavin Newsom, and elected officials throughout our state. We are again trying to contain the spread of this. It's a terrible thing, but everybody has a sense of community, which is really important. But they have tremendous needs, and that's why we want the president to implement the Defense Production Act so we can meet the needs of the workers to protect themselves and the patients to have the ventilators and whatever else they need. So they are, shall we say, crying out for what is necessary to fight the virus, but I'm proud of them.
Well, I want to talk about the $2 trillion federal aid that Congress passed last week. Are there going to be strings attached? We had heard that there was some concern that there weren't sufficient strings attached to the corporate bailout side of this. What are you doing to make sure that this money is going to be used properly?
Well, we do have in the legislation provisions, because the American people are very concerned about large sums of money going out without conditions placed on them. That ranks right up there, but first and foremost, they want people to get their equipment. They want themselves to get their checks, but then they want to make sure that the money that goes out is not without conditions. And we place very stringent conditions to industries that were receiving the money, that they put workers first, that they, for example, in the airline industry, that the workers would remain on the payroll, and that was a condition for getting certain grants of money. Other loans that they got had other conditions about no buyouts, no dividends, no CEO pay, exorbitant, those kinds of conditions, because that really burns people up. They really get very angry, and they saw a good deal of that in previous situations. So we have provisions in the bill to do just that. At the signing ceremony, the president decided to take upon himself to say he wasn't going to acknowledge or obey any of that. And that was most disappointing. But again, transparency
what do you mean?
and accountability.
I'm afraid with all the news going out there, I did not hear that part of it. That the president said he's actually not going to abide by the rules in the bailout that holds the companies accountable?
Not only did he not say it, he issued a signing statement that made those declarations, that he would be the oversight of all of this. And it gave it was a very sad and frightening thought that the president would be the oversight for that. But that's the fight we have.
People have called this something akin to World War II, the mobilization that is needed to fight this virus. Tell me about the Truman Commission. That was used in World War II by Harry Truman to hold corporate leaders to account so they didn't war profiteer. Can we do something like that?
Yes, we can, and I appreciate your knowledge on that subject. When he was a senator, then Senator Truman introduced the idea of having this committee. It was later known as the Truman Committee, but that wasn't its original name. And the reason he put it forth was to say, after World War I, there were 116 investigative committees to see how the money was spent and what went wrong or whatever. What he was saying is, rather than have 116 after the fact, I want one during the fact. and it was less than $1 million spent to save $15 billion and lives, which was its purpose, which he said, and we got the job done. So using that as a model, I today introduced a House, this is a House Select Committee on to combat the coronavirus, and it is modeled after that to say, in the here and now, how we go forward has to have transparency and accountability. Any profiteering and waste, fraud, abuse, and all the rest, we want to address in the here and now.
Well, I good luck with that commission, because I think it's so important that anyone who is receiving this money, any corporations, know that it has to go to the purposes of fighting this virus and supporting the American people, because we're facing an existential crisis right now. And they have to know that there's going to be consequences if they misuse the funds that are given. So thank you so much for that. I want to ask you about the national stay-at-home order from the federal government. It hasn't happened yet. Do you think the president should order one?
Well, you know, it works, and we see it working all around the country, and I hate to even think of how much worse this would be without it. And why the president doesn't do the Defense Production Act, why he doesn't call for everyone to have it say, you have to ask him about that. But it is curious to hear some of the I don't know if you call it rationale of some of the governors who have not implemented this. It not only is harmful to their own people, but it again contributes to the spread of the virus, which is harmful to everyone. We're up to around 90% of the American people at shelter-in-place or other stay-at-home initiatives. It should be 100%, as this is a terrible assault on the lives and the livelihood of the American people, and we have to we're all in this together. Let's get it done, but not have some people say it's a California problem, it's a New York problem. No, we're all in this together. It's hard to understand why, but again, it's hard to understand why Mitch McConnell is saying we don't need any more money when the states are begging for it, the hospitals are begging for it, the equipment is needed to help save lives, the equipment is needed to protect our workers. We have so much more we need to do, and maybe he doesn't understand the gravity of the problem or the pace at which it is being spread, but we will make sure that the public knows, so that, as I said, Democrats and Republicans, governors and mayors are all calling for this. We hope that Mitch McConnell will awaken to that.
Now, 15 states have delayed their primaries so far. How should democracy work while we're all staying at home, while we're quarantining?
Well, we put a big effort in order to promote democracy, which is what we are all about here, and remove obstacles to participation in our democracy. Democrats insisted on resources in this last bill that the president signed last week. We had $400 million to promote voting by mail, direct, all of that. However, it was not nearly enough. We need at least 5 times that much in order to really meet the needs to protect the integrity of our election critical infrastructure, as well as to promote voting by mail. It is absolutely essential at this time. The president said, imagine that he said, if we support vote by mail, no Republicans will ever be elected. Well, I think he should have more confidence in the Republican Party, and I think the Republican Party should take back its party, but that's a whole other conversation. Republicans have always been very good about voting by mail. I can tell you that as a former state chair of the California Democratic Party. So for him to say, we'll never win another election, therefore, we are not going to support vote by mail, is so undermining of what our founders had in mind about full participation. So in this next bill, we hope to get more resources to vote by mail. And if you're doing that, you have to have funds for the Postal Service as well, which he has objected to.
Now, Madam Speaker, a lot of Americans are they're anxious, they're confused, they're scared. What would you say to the people out there who are worried about when this is all going to end?
Well, God bless them. God bless them. I think the American people, our country has a heart full of love. People have a sense of community that is the spirit of America, despite our differences. We love our country, all of us. And so for those all of us who are, including you, who are confined at home. I'm always a believer in prayer, as I know you are as well. So we pray that there will be a cure. So what I would say to those folks, understand that despite the challenge, the best minds in the country are 24/7, all hands on deck, trying to find a cure, and hopefully that will be soon. Again, I've said to people, wash your hands, hydrate, pray, and you can never dance too much. Just try to keep moving and enjoying family in the way that we can now, but understanding that this cannot be the new normal. Better things are ahead for us.
Madam Speaker, I want to let you go. I know you've got a lot to do, but before you go, how are you dealing with the anxiety yourself? You're known to be a chocolate connoisseur. How hard are you hitting the Ghirardelli bar?
That's it. Well, pretty C's, Ghirardelli, Jenny's chocolate ice cream, whatever it is. Yeah, no, it's a very important part of my life.
Do you recommend chocolate as treatment for anxiety?
Very dark, in my case. Very dark chocolate, and again, it's good for you. Somebody told me it was good for your teeth. I believe that. I don't know. But in any event, whatever it is, everyone has his or her own comfort, and don't hesitate to enjoy or rest and feel that you should be working all the time. I always say to my members that recreate and recreate are the same word. It's important to recreate, that is, relax, so that you're strong and recreated for the fight ahead.
Okay, you heard her, America. Pleasure is good right now. The Speaker says, don't forget to pleasure yourself. Okay, thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Nancy Pelosi, everybody. We'll be right back with Alicia Keys.